My research into the complex identity of migrants has been motivated by my experience as an activist, travelling and connecting with inspiring individuals from across Europe as well as migrant communities in the UK. For my MA project, I wanted to build upon my Brexiles project, where I had first developed my fragmented style of portraiture to reflect the insight I had gained as to the complex and transitionary nature of identity. I was exploring the representation of identity through the personal interpretation of the symbolic meaning of colours, and I was surprised that many participants chose to be represented by the colour schemes of flags. While simultaneously organising exhibitions to disseminate my Brexiles research, I decided to embark on another project focusing on migrant identity more broadly and through a less political lens, investigated in more depth the relationship between flags and identity. I was fortunate to find 10 inspiring and diverse individuals from across the globe who were enthusiastic to participate in my project. During our intimate conversational interviews, we discussed personal topics, including their perception of home, their identity, personality, and passions, as well as their sense of belonging to communities and their experience of cruelty and discrimination. Their contemplative insights will be published on my blog alongside their visual representations, and I am hoping to eventually publish a book, weaving together their complex narratives to communicate and disseminate the wisdom they have so generously shared with me. In addition to the portraits, I decided to question whether it's possible to subvert the typical purpose of a flag, which usually represents a collective identity, by designing flags to represent individuals. Inviting my participants to explore their identities through the framework of visual language was an insightful process, which some found very easy whilst others struggled, finding it difficult to choose colours and symbols which could represent them, perhaps indicating the limitations of this co-creation method. It was important for me to represent them as they wanted to be seen, so when creating the portraits I worked from photographs they had provided to me and agreed their preferred image from my sketches. I then created designs in oil pastels in their chosen colours before starting their final portraits in oils on canvas. I painted the backgrounds in methodical stripes to represent the systems and bureaucracy which control our lives, restricting our choices and limiting our freedoms. Passports, visas, citizenship applications, etc. Then adding splatters to represent their frustration and their struggle to overcome these restrictions. Finally, I constructed the faces, creating the fragmented shapes and thick textural brush marks that give the portraits a dynamic sense of tension and a constantly shifting, intersecting direction. I then began exploring representation through flags, deciding to print the designs because flags are inherently repetitious. I chose to create them at a small scale so they could be strung together like bunting, reflecting the celebratory nature of the project and creating a metaphorical connecting thread between my geographically dispersed research participants, several of whom had mentioned their feeling of belonging to diaspora communities, the importance of finding their tribe, and their joy at connecting their friends with other friends. In this way, the bunting represents my tribe of research participants. I started the design process digitally for ease of co-creation, deciding on lino-cut as the final printing method, reflecting on the insight of my research participant who described flags as a flattening of identity. The reductive nature of the lino-cut method simplified the design and forced them to choose just 2 colours for their flags. I also love the way that no 2 prints turn out exactly the same, which seemed a perfect metaphor for the constantly fluctuating and shifting nature of identity in response to environmental factors, life experiences, situational circumstances, relationship, and mood. I enjoyed the exchanges with my participants over the designs, which provided further insights, whilst bringing the realisation that no perfect representation can ever be achieved, only a snapshot documenting an ongoing process of development. As such, I decided to name the project Kaleidentity, the term kaleidics denoting an ever-changing shape and status. Their identities will continue evolving throughout their lives, as will my skills and experience as an artist. There is no end. There is only ever change.